Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We have Dani Williamson with us. She is a family nurse practitioner. Dani, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. So, Dani, give us your 76-second bio.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, I'm a family nurse practitioner. I spent 24 years seeing doctors. I was 20 years old when I had my first colonoscopy. I had 4 colonoscopies before I was 44.
Wow.
Diagnosed with lupus when I was 35, fibromyalgia, depression. 4 colonoscopies, 10 doctors, 44 years old, had just gotten out of nurse practitioner school before a doctor ever looked at me and said, Dani, what are you eating? Don't you know your diet controls your symptoms? It turned the entire trajectory of my life around 14 years ago. Changed my practice, changed my children's lives, I hope, the whole next generation of my family. And that's what I do all day, every day in practice, is help women heal decades of chronic lifestyle diseases that were turned on by their lifestyle and turned off by their lifestyle. I am living proof that if you were born healthy, you do not have to live sick. And that's what I do all day, every day, is help people get their best life back on track.
Nice. And because of your personal connection with it, you kind of really took you started to really focus on autoimmunity.
Absolutely.
Right? Autoimmune disease, where the body's attacking itself.
Absolutely. And I still have lupus if you checked my antibodies today, but I have no symptoms of lupus. I healed the gut. I eat well, sleep well, move well, poop well, work on stress, de-stress well, and commune well. Those are the 6 steps that I work with my patients in the clinic.
So autoimmunity is, of course, when the body is, instead of attacking foreign invaders, it's attacking itself. And in conventional medicine, like we kind of just, the approach is usually in conventional medicine to just suppress your immune system.
That's right. That's
but
right.
you have this 6-step approach that you use with your patients. So why don't we go through those steps? So
well, sure.
You have somebody that comes in and mention some common autoimmune diseases that you take care of?
Well, Hashimoto's thyroiditis is the bulk of my practice. I also see a lot of ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, a lot of gut issues, a lot of thyroid, MS. Yeah.
So Hashimoto's tell the audience what Hashimoto's is.
Hashimoto's is the #1 undiagnosed autoimmune disease in the United States, actually, maybe the world. I don't know. And women have autoimmune disease 8 to 10 times more than men. And I have my theory on that. I don't know why. I think we're probably the most toxic, and our hormones and our lotion, our makeup, all the things, right? Cleaning supplies, perfume, all the things that create an inflammatory response. So Hashimoto's thyroiditis, like I said, is the bulk of it. But when we get into the 6 steps, the eat well is my first step. And gluten and dairy are the #1 and #2 triggers with autoimmune thyroiditis.
So we'll get to the 6 steps, because these 6 steps, the secret's coming out today. So anybody that stops watching this, I'm so sorry, you missed the secret. You're just gonna have to wait, or you're just gonna have to live with it, right?
That's right.
So Hashimoto's, the body is attacking what?
Yes, the thyroid.
The thyroid,
the master gland that you can't live without, right? You can't live without it. Once it's gone, you're on medication for the rest of your life. So we protect it with all our might.
And your thyroid is responsible for doing what?
Well, for metabolism. Well, everything, right? Metabolism, fertility, cholesterol, hair, skin, bowel movements, all the things.
Okay, so basically, and let's just go with, although you're saying all autoimmune conditions, you could use these steps and for support, but
Absolutely.
Let's focus on, so we'll talk about the Hashimoto. So the body's attacking itself, it's attacking the thyroid gland, and then they start to have low levels of thyroid hormone.
Absolutely.
And usually they'll diagnose the low levels of thyroid
first,
Yes.
oftentimes decades before Hashimoto's is ever diagnosed. Oftentimes you're diagnosed hypothyroidism decades before.
Because they don't really care why it's happening.
That's exactly right.
So what do they give you? Normally they give you what? If your
Levothyroxine.
Levothyroxine, which is T4, right?
Yeah.
They give you a thyroid hormone, say
T4,
see you later.
See you later. Generic at that, which I never use generic
Yes.
levothyroxine with our patients.
We
But
hope
yes,
you have
they
a
give
nice day. Take the levothyroxine.
Here's
right?
your pill, here's your
Okay.
pamphlet. That's what they say. Here's your pill, here's your pamphlet. We'll
they
see
give
at
them a
6 months.
pamphlet?
Well, sometimes. I mean, that's what
pretty
I always say.
amazing.
Here's your pill, here's your pamphlet. You know,
Yeah.
they tell you a little bit about it, and then you're gone.
Okay.
And yes, and then they come to a place like me, and then they're actually where we check functional medicine labs, and we look at thyroglobulin antibodies and thyroid peroxidase antibodies, and then boom, they have a Hashimoto. It just happened last week.
Okay.
A patient, she had no idea she had Hashimoto's, and she was in her 40s.
So,
And
so basically, by seeing that, so they come to you, and you dig deeper, and you don't check thyroid, and you check those thyroid antibodies, and you see thyroglobulin and thyroid peroxidase antibodies elevated, and you're like, all right, hold on, I know what's causing your thyroid condition, right? Instead of
right.
saying we don't know what's
That's right.
causing it. Okay,
That's right.
So now they're diagnosed with Hashimoto's,
Uh-huh.
and now you're like, all right, let's work on lifestyle, right?
right.
Let's work on these 6 steps,
6 steps.
not 5.
No, well, I have 6, and then sometimes I add 7 in the sexual health part, and then
Let's do 7. Let's get a bonus.
Let's do 7. Yeah, we've got
Okay.
a bonus.
We got a bonus. Okay. So step number 1,
Yes, eat well.
eat well.
Eat
What
well.
What
It's
does that
key.
mean?
Eat well. I mean, you've got to eat one ingredient God-made food, right? And so I talk to people every day about driving through. You know, if you're getting your food from someone's drive-through window, that's not food. That's Frankenfood. And I show them, you know, Chick-fil-A, and who doesn't love Chick-fil-A? It has 53 ingredients in one sandwich. So we talk about eating one ingredient food, removing gluten and dairy with an autoimmune condition, and for sure with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and they're panicked because it's like, what in the world? What am I going to eat? You know, Dani, well, gluten, dairy, soy, corn, sugar, eggs, and peanuts are the top 7 inflammatory foods in the country. So we
Okay.
try to remove those for 21 days and eat all the fish, beans, nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables you can stand, a Mediterranean diet
Okay.
for 21 days.
So you stay away from processed foods, you stay away from fast foods,
Absolutely.
and give me them again. You listed the things that you try to get people to stay away from.
Gluten, dairy,
Okay.
soy, corn, sugar, eggs, peanuts. And I think the research shows about 85% of all processed foods has soy in it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with soy. I could eat good, clean, organic soy if I needed to, but it's highly inflammatory to most people. But that is the bulk of the American diet right there, those top 7 foods. So when we eliminate those, and I try to tell them, look, it's only 7 foods. There are hundreds of foods that are designed for you to eat.
Right. I think
And in season, by the way.
I think what makes it very difficult is that with the processing of foods, when people read, you get a can of soup, and everything does like to have gluten and
Yes,
dairy and
yes.
soy and corn, and so what happens is, because there's everything or these top like foods that could trigger issue,
Right.
nobody will ever figure out that the food is causing it or that food is causing it, because how do you eliminate it when everything has them in it?
That's right.
Yeah.
But one ingredient food does not have it in it. So that's real food, right? A piece of broccoli, salmon, chicken, steak, lamb, turkey, blueberries.
So
There's none of that.
So you have them do the 7. You eliminate these 7 foods,
I eliminate 7 foods.
and then what do you follow the antibodies afterwards?
We do. Well, we
Yeah.
generally do food sensitivity test. I'm looking at food
Yeah.
IgE and IgG testing on them.
Okay.
I have a combo test that I use, and we do that. I wait for that to come back, and yes, and we follow the antibodies every 4 to 6 months. It just depends on the patient. It's individualized, and as their inflammation goes down, their antibodies go down, and they're thrilled with that, you know. And it's really interesting. And their thyroid oftentimes starts to work better as well. So they also come down on their levothyroxine, or maybe we've put them on something different, like a desiccated pig thyroid or Armour, Natureford, or something, or NP. And so, yes, we follow it. We watch the inflammation go down. And it's not about what you can't eat. It's about what you can eat and diversifying. Because I tell them, you know, we were designed to eat hundreds of foods. And we have hundreds of billions of trillions of bacteria in our gut, and we need to feed that and with diversity. We are designed to be diverse. So as we diversify our diet, our inflammation starts to come down. And, you know, I used to say inflammation is the devil. Inflammation is the root of everything. And then I read something last week that said, no, inflammation's not the root. Now, it rocked my whole world. It's the symptom of whatever it is that's going on.
Digging deeper, right?
Digging deeper. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a root to the root.
There's a root to the root. That is exactly right. So we start with eating well, and that's the most emotional. So the patients who do the best with what I do, which is bringing down inflammation in their body, whether it's, joint pain. If they say, well, Dani, my gut doesn't hurt. I don't have diarrhea. I don't have constipation. I don't have food allergies or food sensitivities. Well, do you have joint pain? Do you have migraine headaches? Do you have fatigue? Do you have insomnia? Do you have depression, anxiety, ADD, ADHD? No, you've got a gut issue. Trust me, if you do have those symptoms, and most people do. And the people who do the best are the ones who take the emotion out of it. I was 44 years old. I had 29 foods that were on my food sensitivity. I was so emotionally connected to what I was eating. It took me years to realize, man, eat to live. Don't live to eat. I love great food. The ones who do the best take the emotion out of it, and they say, you know what? I'm going to feel better, and I'll do anything, whatever it takes. Yeah. So true. So eating is key.
So let's talk about, because obviously staying away from 30-something foods for the rest of your life is not something that you're doing with people, right?
No.
How do you reintroduce foods?
As you heal the gut, as we heal the gut and bring down the inflammation, we're able to reintroduce those foods. And I do that with probiotics, immunoglobulins, all the things that we would do in a functional medicine practice. Work on decreasing stress. Stress will destroy a gut. I know that. And the first part that we didn't even talk about, and my practice did not go to the next level until I started addressing childhood trauma. So every patient who comes in the office gets an adverse childhood experience questionnaire. I had a tremendous amount of childhood trauma, and the whole first part of my book is on trauma. Once I worked on that and addressed the childhood trauma, my symptoms, my things, everything that was going on in my body started to get better.
Nice.
So we work on the trauma. I find them therapists if they have childhood trauma, things like that. We start bringing down the inflammation, and then we go from there. Then we start working on the sleep and the exercise, and all of those are connected. It's not just one out there.
It's great to hear you mention trauma, because I think there's more awareness happening. I got certified in psychological trauma, and I actually work at a place called the Guest House that's a trauma and substance abuse center in Ocala, Florida. So
I was just in Ocala. I just did a whole talk.
Come check us out. Come check us out. Check out we'll give you a tour.
We'll talk about yes. So trauma was missed in me for years, and so it's key. And anyone who has childhood trauma out there, you really do need to address it, and then you can take your healing to the whole next level.
So I think number one, probably the most important step we talked about. Right. Let's talk about step number 2.
Sleep well.
Sleep well.
So I always thought one was the most important, and I believe it still is, but you will never eat well if you don't sleep well. Your body heals when you sleep. And the bed is for sleep and sex only, and if you're not doing one or the other in it, get out of it, right? There's no TV, no wireless router, no computers, no cell phones. You need to have all the distractions, all the electromagnetic fields out of that bed. If you snore, you need a sleep study, right? If your partner snores, maybe you need to be in the next bedroom or the other bedroom, right? I mean, you've got to sleep. Your body heals when you sleep. So when you sleep well, you're more likely to eat better as well and eat well, right? When you eat well, sometimes you sleep better. So sleep is key. And I am very adamant about sleep with my patients. And nobody sleeps. You know this as a provider. People don't sleep.
Yeah, they stay up and no iPads either,
they scroll.
right?
No iPads, no nothing. The bed is for sleep and sex only. No animals in your bed. No cats and dogs in your bed.
All right, so I have patients that are allergic to cats.
Yes.
And I've had more than one patient say, when I try to say don't let the cat in the room, they say, I will get rid of my husband before I get rid of my cat.
Yeah, I hear that all the time.
So, okay, but at least you told them, right? So number 3.
I tell them. Yeah,
what's
that's
number 3?
Eat well, sleep well, move well.
You've
got to move your body.
How do you recommend moving?
Whatever you want to do. I don't care if you want a ballroom dance, you want a hula hoop, you want to rollerblade. It does not matter to me. You've got to get off of this chair and start moving, right?
Can you make money hula hooping? I don't know if it's a professional sport.
I brought in a professional hula hooper to my clinic and did a public class for the community.
Okay.
And she made money that day, teaching us. And let me tell you, it's cardiovascular. But not only will it whittle that waist down, it gets your heart rate up. It doesn't matter to me what you do, just move your body. Now, as a 59-year-old woman, I've started weight training. So I've started weight training, taking my nitric oxide, getting the blood flow going, building muscle. So I do think that that's imperative as we get older. You pretty well have to target it, but you just got to move. You've got to move.
Yeah. You know what I would say? So if they are going to become professional hula hoopers from watching us, make sure you are a functional medicine-minded hula hooper, right? I think they should be eating healthy and whatever.
They got to
don't
eat
just
well,
hula hoop
sleep
and eat
well,
junk.
move well. That's exactly right. You cannot hula hoop yourself out of a bad diet.
Number 4.
You cannot. Okay,
You cannot.
eat well,
Actually, no,
sleep-
hold on. That's good. That's good. We got to go back. You cannot. This is the second thing we need to trademark,
root of the
right?
root, and you cannot
You
hula.
cannot hula hoop yourself out of a bad diet. That is amazing. All right. Number 4.
Oh Lord, eat well, sleep well, move well, poop well.
Poop well.
Again, if you don't
Like-
eat well, you're not going to poop well. If you don't sleep well, if you don't move well, you're not going to poop well. So it's huge, and everyone poops. And if and I've got doctors who tell patients it's fine. You only poop twice a week. Some people only poop twice a week. What? You need a new provider if your doctor tells you or your nurse practitioner that you're only pooping twice a week, that
Right.
it's normal. It's not normal. So we have to eliminate. And you will. I mean,
Yeah.
and most people who don't poop, they're just simply dehydrated, quite frankly. They're just dehydrated. So if we can get you hydrated enough, but maybe some magnesium and, get you moving, get you hula hooping, get those innards going there. But pooping is important.
I think if your doctor tells you or your practitioner tells you that you pooping once or twice a week is okay, they probably need to poop. They probably would think a little more clear.
They're probably irritable. They're
You're right.
not pooping. That's exactly
oh yeah,
right.
no, it would be horrible. Yeah. Poop
I
every
can't
day.
imagine. Of course, I spent 24 years on the other side of that with chronic diarrhea. And that's not healthy either, right?
Right,
There's
right.
nothing healthy. But you've got to poop well, and you have to look at your poop. I am a big proponent. Good poopers. I was told years ago by somebody, good poopers hate automatic flushers in the airport or wherever because they don't get to look at. And you got to. That's a big sign of health. Is
I
what
heard-
it looks like.
I heard somewhere that guys are more likely to look at their poop, like without any medical advice type
Probably.
thing.
That's
And so you're probably having to really convince the women to take a look. So we're running. So we have a
Eat
couple
well,
more
sleep
minutes.
well, move well, poop well,
Poop well?
de-stress well.
De-stress well.
De-stress well.
Okay.
Stress will kill you. Stress will destroy your gut. It'll destroy how you sleep. You won't exercise. You won't eat well. You'll comfort eat. Stress will kill you. But that also goes back. And that means if you're in a bad job as women, right, you have to learn to automate, eliminate, and delegate everything you can out of your life. AED, boom, bring it back to life, your life. If I didn't want to do this podcast with you today, I would have said no. I had the right to set my boundaries and say, no, I can't. I don't have the bandwidth for that. And as women, we don't do that. Seriously, though, stress will destroy your life. And my childhood stress almost destroyed me. And then, as adults, we all have stress. But we do have to set our boundaries. And women don't have any margin. And oftentimes as women, maybe we're not the head of the home. Maybe we're not. I am, single mom, head of the home. But we set the tone for the entire home. And women are the majority of my practice. So, the second a woman walks through the door, the entire family feeds off of her energy. And if she has no margin in her life, then, we're just in a bad shape. None of these other things will fall together. So you have to de-stress well, and then you have to commune well. You heal when you have community. And that's eyeball to eyeball community, not on your phone community, or Facebook community. We need community. Your cortisol levels go down. Your immune system goes up when you have community. We have lots of research on community. And so those are my 6 steps. And then we also,
6.
sex.
What's number 6?
Eat well, sleep well, move well, poop well, de-stress well, commune well.
Commune. Okay, so we got the 6. Commune.
And then the sexual health one is the one.
Oh, that's the bonus. Hold on.
That's
No.
the bonus.
Let's kind of talk it up a little bit. So, and our bonus is sexual health well?
Man, absolutely.
Okay.
Sex well. I deal with aging, menopausal, postmenopausal women who have no libido at all. But they used to.
Okay.
So we have to think, okay, what happened here? Was it life? Is it children? Oftentimes, children. Is it all these things are not falling into place? Maybe you love your husband, but you don't like him. Women are funny. If they don't like you or they're mad at you, they don't have a libido. And men are different. They can be mad and want sex, all. So I really work a lot with sexual health and dating your partner again and things like that. And then I use a lot of nitric oxide with our sexual health.
Nice. And you find it
Absolutely.
helpful?
Absolutely, for men and women, for orgasms, for the whole thing, for erectile dysfunction, for clitoral stimulation, every single bit of it. And they love it. They love it.
Tell us about your book.
Oh, Wild and Well, Dani's 6 Common Sense Steps to Radical Healing. That's the book. The book is fantastic. It's been #1 on Amazon multiple times. It's my common sense, practical medicine steps. And
Nice.
again, the first part's on childhood trauma.
Dani, you have been very generous with your time and with your information. I love that you're sharing all of this. Hopefully this will help a lot of people out there.
I hope so.
A lot of practitioners, hopefully, that will be looking at things different. How do people stay connected with you?
DaniWilliamson.com. On social media, it's Dani Williamson Wellness all across the board. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Awesome. Dani, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.